We have Rick Chaffold, who is the author of More Than a Rib. He does wonderful things in the community. He also has a nonprofit that engages in activities that enhance family values, bring families together, communities together, mentor projects, as well as making sure people are aware of their health needs, things that build self-esteem, the things that we need, leadership in the community. So I'm looking forward to hearing from both of them. So at this time, we'll have both gentlemen come on up. Round of applause.
Are we sharing this mic?
I think so.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. How are you?
Good evening.
I think, or should I say, in some instances, we know that art is often the best imitator of life. What we've witnessed this evening is that imitation. One thing that causes many of us to fail as we pursue finding real, authentic, and true love is that we look for an external solution to an internal problem. As we go about doing such a thing, we often find ourselves almost starstruck or drunk in the minutiae of life. And Break Up, Don't Break Down, I made this comment that love is the only game that two people can play and both parties lose. As a result, we find ourselves not only brokenhearted but dispirited, because the very things that we thought, those things that we feel were so significant that were gonna impact and catalyze and change our lives, don't happen. Another person, people ask me all the time, they say, well, you're a relationship expert. How is it that you are single? And I said, well, let me tell you something. First, a relationship complements your life. It does not complete your life.
That's right.
And secondly, until you become that which you seek, even if you find the perfect man or the perfect woman, what really have you found other than a hot mess waiting to happen? So with that stated, Rick and I, who this gentleman has concepted something called More Than a Rib, and I think it honors the duality of existence between male-female relationships. Because what is a man? I love this James Brown song. You know what I'm saying? What is a man without a woman or a little girl? We're nothing. And I'm going to pass this to Rick because I think he can articulate it better than anyone. But before I pass this, I just want us all to stop and think. In our quest for love, what is it that we're really trying to find? Are we trying to find a solution to an internal problem externally? Or are we looking for someone else to be that which we are not, to be that which we should be but aren't? So we go and get 3 or 4 women and 3 or 4 men in order to bring these broken fragments of self together, hoping that it will help us to become one, when in fact you are nothing but a reflection in another person of that which you are not within yourself. Rick.
Doc, that was well put. When we talk about completion, it's like I hear people say, men and women, he completes me, she completes me. But the whole thing is you should be completing yourself before you even engage in interaction with anyone else in regards to intimate relationships, friendships, whatever the case may be. More Than a Rib is a lifestyle movement, and it's about the empowerment of the family unit. And we deal with one person at a time in regards to self-love and self-worth. In all of these sketches tonight, some common bonds and trends were lack of communication and lack of self-love. And in these things that are fictional, we're acting out, people are dealing with divorce, rape, sexual assault, excuse me. We're dealing with this real time right now. And we have to start with ourselves in addressing some of the things that we put ourselves into. So we have to start loving ourselves better, because when we don't love ourselves, we will allow ourselves to make horrible decisions that we have to address on the back end and deal with the aftermath of that. And loving yourself is a hard situation, but it's a good situation once you learn how to forgive, once you learn how to take on the totality of a self-assessment and self-accountability. So, in moving forward in dealing with this Excerpt Live situation where lifestyles and art will be acted out, always remember that there's a piece of realness in all of this that we have seen today. And in that realness, we have to take back with us to the people that are scared to speak out, or the people that are scared to deal with their own situation, and say, you know, it's all right to be vulnerable. It's all right to be imperfect. It's okay to be perfectly imperfect so you can affect the world. So with that being said, I'm gonna pass the mic back to Doc and let him finish up and close us out.
Thank you. In the last 30 days, I've had the blessing or the pleasure to do a lot of national media. I think at the end of January, I was featured in Essence magazine, and there was an article that they syndicated talking about how do you know that you found the perfect man. A couple of weeks ago, I'm an expert for this show on TV1 called Fatal Attraction. And we were talking about a young woman who was murdered because, almost like in Romeo and Juliet, there was this play at this young woman, Jennifer Lewis was her name. She fell in love with what she thought was a safe bet, you know, a man that was in the church, spiritual man, a man that ended up having to get her killed. And when they found the woman that was behind orchestrating her murder, they found her in his bedroom. Yeah, so everything isn't as it appears. So Rick, I want to ask a couple of questions. When you look at the disintegration of relationships and where people tend to derail, do you think what we're doing is imitating what we've seen a caregiver do, or listening to the media and the music and the things that are being scripted on television? Or are we just the victims of a defunct society and we're trying to grab at straws as it relates to finding real authentic love?
Well, it's a little bit of both when we have the love and hip hops and all the rest of this nonsense that's on TV that if you watch it, you won't think it will mold and shape your mind, but it's molding and shaping your mind, your children's minds, and everyone else's mind that is attached to it. But as we look at the bad examples that we have for ourselves, we look at the 15 million single-parent, women-ran households and how our children are being raised. It affects everything in regards to the dynamic of the relationship. And as we move forward in relationships, one thing that I've noticed that makes the relationships that we have now not the best is that we're not communicating. Communication is one of the biggest forms that they say it's infidelity, they say it's money. Communication needs to be on that list. Because if we're not communicating, how can we coexist together? That's one major problem. Another major problem is that we're not being forthcoming in our relationships in regards to saying what's on your mind when something is wrong or right. Hey, you know, this is what's going on, this is how I feel about it, and let's not yell, let's dialogue about it. Let's dialogue about it like responsible adults, and let's come to a happy medium, or you're right and I'm wrong, and we're not holding over each other's heads. And in that, take off the mask. Don't wear the mask and be like, you know, everything's okay, and then you leave and it's really not. Men and women do that. Let's address the situation, address the issues at hand, and see where we can go to be successful. And we're not doing that. We need to get back to doing that, like our mamas and papas and everybody else back in the day when love and relationships were cherished, when everybody wasn't expendable, and you can go on to the next one. We have to get back to the old days in regards to structure and how we move forward in relationships, friendships, business, and everything else, especially in the Afro-American community.
Let me ask you another question. Your tango contacted me about a week ago, If you're not familiar with Your Tango, it's a relationship site that has a heck of a lot of really good content on it that discusses the dysfunction as well as the things you need to do right to get a relationship going. They said, Doc, do you think the reason why we're having problems is because there's so many single parent households? Is that part of it? So I did this research and I noticed something. At the top of the income stream, people that make $250,000 up, especially single moms, only 9% of those women were single and giving birth to a child out of wedlock, or just going into a situation, deciding to have a child without both parties being present. But when we got down, Rick, to the $25,000 and the $15,000 income level, which you can't survive off that, not in this country, and not live well, right? And it gives you just enough money not to qualify for social programs, but not enough money to survive. So the people get trapped, and I noticed that 68% of women that made $15,000 a year were single moms. And the average age group was about 19 to 23 years old. The next group was right at $25,000 a year. And those mothers were between the ages of 21 and 26 years old, with no intention of having the father involved in the child's life. So I really want to ask this question. Do you believe that there is a correlation between men that have not been fathered and men that have not really seen a good example of what it is to have a dad, to be be affected by a father, and these are the men that are producing these children now? And these young women, likewise, if the guy didn't see dad, that young lady probably had a brother and she didn't see dad either. So what can we do? And those of us that are of a given age, I'm gonna just say 35 up, because I'm not gonna tell y'all how old I am, have y'all talking about me. But the truth is, Rick, what can we do to bring some awareness to making a good decision before we make a foolish one?
That's a great question. First thing I do is tell anybody that I'm working with in regards to the life coaching situation is you have to take the emotion out of the decision. Usually when the emotion is in the decision, it will steer you the wrong way or set you up for failure, set you up for a temporary situation. But when you're looking at the facts, no gray, you come to a conclusion that is beneficial for you. You may not like it, but it is very beneficial. Now, to get back to these single parent households, usually when on the female side and the male side, on the female side, when the father is not present, you have a situation where she does not get the experience to know how to interact with a man. On two levels, how to interact with the man that is her dad and how to interact with the man that is not her dad. Wow. And when you have this, you have a dynamic that is so confusing for that young person that it confuses them on the way to growing up if they don't have that structure. With the male side, the young man, the young youth does not have the opportunity. If the man is a great dad, provider, etc., if he has the right example, he is shown, the youth is shown how to interact with women, how to respect women, how to be the man of his household, and how to be structured in the fact that as I grow up, I will accept responsibility to become a man. And what we're not getting now is the structure that makes young men, teenagers, 21, 25, get off Xbox and start being responsible for what is going on with their lives and the children's lives that they may have produced in this flawed mentality. So we have some work ahead of us. Not only me and you, but the whole black community to start helping out if you see something. I mean, it's simple enough, and I say it to kids if I see them in the gas station, whatever. Hey bro, what do you think about pulling your pants up? It's, you know, you have to start somewhere, even if it's just that one comment. And, you know, I'm working on some other things. We're working on, with More Than a Rib, we're working on DOPE, the Developing Opportunities of Personal Enrichment. And we're going to be doing some mentoring in the community and giving back to make sure that we can prepare the single parent household that doesn't have, you know, the father figure. It prepares, or at least gives, the young lady and the young man a chance to interact with stand-up guys in the community like Doc and myself. So we're working on it.
One thing that, good stuff. One thing that's been a frequent question in many interviews is people ask me, well, how do I know? What is it that I need to look for to find this mate? How can I tell this person is legit? And I always tell people, it starts with you being authentic. How can someone fall in love with this imposter or your representative, and then 3 to 6 months later, they're going, well, what the hell happened to the person that I met? You know, the person that I met was opening doors, and the person I met wasn't talking in that vernacular, and that person that I met didn't demonstrate the temperament that I see you have when we start talking about where to park the car, what we're going to eat. What happened? So my side of this, and I'm going to speak to the ladies, and I ask if you'd be so kind to speak to the gentlemen. Ladies, when a man is too good to be true, he's just that, too good to be true. What you should look for in a brother is an authentic conversation. A conversation that isn't based on, boo, what do you like to do? But more, why do you like to do it? If a brother tells you he has a plan, shouldn't it be connected to some things that are tangible? Because if he has a GED and tells you he wants to be a neurologist, I'm not going to say you can't, but you might want to make a stop at HCC before you start talking about MIT. There needs to be a plan. When somebody says, well, we're going to come up, I've got an idea, let's make some money together. Well, have you done the feasibility study, and what's your business plan based on, and what model are you using? You know, when you start talking about, baby, you might be the one, you need, and sisters, please don't take offense to this, but you need to ask them, well, what exactly about me did you like? And I'm going to tell you the sneaky way to do it. Do y'all want to know that? Yeah. Amen. The sneaky way to get a brother to tell you whether he's really checking for you or not, you ask him, tell me 3 physical traits that you love in a woman. Ask him to tell you something such as, you know, what is it that you appreciate and how I treat you? What is it that you need from me? And if that man cannot give you concise answers, or moreover, if what he answers and describes for you does not match you, what you're dealing with is an illusion, not something that's real. Now, what about for the fellas, Rick?
And we got 2 minutes, I believe.
Absolutely. Fellas, the main thing that we have to do, myself included, I'm human and we all are, we have to be more consistent. And we have to be men of our word. One of the most powerful things you can be or teach a young man is to be a man of his word. That's what it's all about. It's all about the truth that you tell yourself. The truth that you tell yourself is going to be the truth that you tell others. But a lot of us lie to ourselves, and we have to get out of that. A lot of us pretend to ourselves, and we have to get out of that as men. And we just have to simply, it's simple, be a man. Step up to the plate, be a man. Be consistent, and make sure that you're a man of your word. And if you don't know how to do that, you know, you have to have the courage to reach out and ask. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I'm sitting with Doc. I said, Doc, I want you to be my mentor. There's some things that I need. And he took me on because he sees the hustle and the grind that I put in every day to try to make more than a rib having to spread the word. But I wasn't scared. My ego was not in the way of me helping myself. Men have a problem with their ego getting in the way of them helping themselves. And you have to just simply just sit back and realize and take, once again, accountability and assessment of yourself and where you want to be and what you're trying to accomplish. And we just have to do better. I mean, there's not a day that I don't think that I can do better.
Let me ask you this real quick, because the clock is ticking.
Okay.
In 20 seconds, what do you have to say to this audience as well as the nation that's going to see this?
Well, one thing, once again, what is acted out is going on in real life. And if it's going on in your real life and you need help, please reach out to my organization, please reach out to Doc. I'm a certified life coach. Doc is a doctor. So, you know, we're doing things in the community to try to help and bring back and get us back on track in regards to the family. And once we fix each person in the family, singularly, let everybody know their role, we'll be a better family, better society, and better everything.
Sounds cool. Hey, Mr. Rick Chaffold, and More Than a Rib, and I'm Dr. D'Yvonne Young, and as always, I want to just leave you with two things. I love you madly. Most sincerely, I do. Have an awesome evening.
Well, I have several things. I'm a product of a drug-filled household. I saw my mother get beat in an abusive relationship with my stepfather, who she's still with today, unfortunately. And another thing that ties all of my work and effort in together is like, if not 99, 100% of the women that I've dated have been abused as children and have had some form of sexual assault in their past. So in trying to create change and being the change that I want to be and what I want to see out there, I became an example and put pen to paper and decided to give back through my life experience and my education, the resources I have, and just strictly dissemination of information and putting together just forums, group talks, just lines of communication where people can reach out, get healed, and try to go on and live a better life through the forgiveness of whoever has them hostage and just forgiveness of themselves and move on and be better people. So my situation comes from a struggle and a passion. And we're only 2 years old, but we're gonna go far in helping and being the foundation that gets people on the right track, male and female. And we're starting with our kids. So we're here and we're here to stay more than a rib. So thank you.